and welcome to episode 10 of the Crochet Luna podcast. My name is Claudia and I'm coming to you from the San Diego area in Southern California, where we have been enjoying some beautiful weather. I know things are not so great in other parts of the country, but just close your eyes and picture the most beautiful weather, what you would picture San Diego weather to be, and that's what it is. Beautiful blue skies, the temperature's just right. It's been such an enjoyable past few days. So welcome to everyone. I want to say welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. And to you who have come back episode after episode, I just want to send you a big hug and tell you how much I really, really appreciate you spending time with me. It means a lot to me. Especially since last episode I was telling you about some of the issues that I was having, health issues that I was having, and so many of you reached out and just sent me the most amazing messages and just made me feel so, I don't know, I can't explain it. It just, I know, we'll probably never meet because some of you live very, very far. But just knowing that you're thinking about me and you're sending me good vibes and you're sending me prayers, it just fills me with hope and it fills me with a lot of happiness. And those are all good things to have when you are dealing with a chronic illness, because positivity and good vibes and all that, gets absorbed into your body, and then it just, I really believe that it makes, I think it just makes you feel better knowing that people care. And I got a lot of that from you guys, so I just want to say a big heartfelt thank you. And if I could hug each and every one of you, I would do it, because I am known as a hugger. I'll hug everybody. I don't care. I know that sometimes it makes people really uncomfortable, but it's just I'm just a hugger. What can I say? So let's move on. I have a lot of crochet stuff to talk about, and I'm trying really hard to keep my episode this time to be a little bit under an hour, just because uploading and editing and just a bunch of stuff just sort of gets more complicated if I go out over an hour. But wanted to start off by giving you a little bit of an update, since I do talk about my RA on this podcast, and one of the reasons I do it is because I know a lot of you out there suffer from chronic conditions, and it doesn't have to be something that is health related. Maybe you're just going through a bad time, and I don't know, for some reason coming out of the summer, it's just the transition between the summer months and the summer routine into the fall has just really kicked my ass. I have not got it together, people. I haven't. It's been a struggle every single day. I am right now, it is, let me see, it's 4:07 in the afternoon here in San Diego. Well, I live in Escondido, which is in San Diego County. So it's 4:07. At like 4:30ish, I gotta go and take my daughter to her Girl Scout meeting, and my son is home because this past weekend we had a family barbecue where the kids were horsing around, and you know that when those kids are horsing around indoors, someone's gonna get hurt, and they were told. So it ended up being my son got his foot caught in a door that was being slammed and just basically gnarled his little, big toe. So I've had to deal with that. But he's fine now. He's taking it like a trooper. He's doing good right now. So, but I wanted to start recording knowing that I'll have to take off and come back and finish this podcast, because I won't have enough time to finish the whole thing. But yes, I just wanted to give you an update. So I went to see my doctor. We went over some x-rays. I took some, hand x-rays. As you can see, my hands are not too bad. And, I've had arthritis for about 20 years. And when I was first diagnosed at 25, I was lucky enough to be seen with some very top rheumatologists. And it was a group of them, and they decided that because I was so young, and I was actually very active, I was a tennis player, that they were going to treat me very aggressively in the hopes that as I got older, my joints would be saved and I wouldn't have too much deformity and too much loss of motion. And their theory paid off, because after 20 plus years with arthritis, I'm in pretty good shape. But I had some hand x-rays done about 2 months ago, and so I went to see the rheumatologist, and we sat down and I was looking at the x-rays, and it's pretty bad. I mean, the bones in my hand, in this, all of this, are basically have bone spurs in between where there's joints, and so now there's like bone on bone rubbing. So when your body realizes that there's damage, it will start growing bone. But the problem is now I have these bone spurs in my wrist that make my hands hurt all the time. And so I was telling her, so what are we gonna do? What do we do? Because I'm always like wanting to know, what can I do to be better? What can I do to feel better? Get better. And she's like, well, basically we can fuse your hand so you don't have the pain. And I'm like, well, I was kind of trying to postpone going that route, because I said to her, I want to get back on a tennis court. And I swear to you, she looked at me like I was a crazy person. Now, this is a relatively new rheumatologist to me. I've only seen her for the last couple of years. And it's like every time I see her, like I'm a stranger, like she knows nothing about me. And I get it. They see a lot of people. But there's certain things I think that I would want to remember about my patients. And one of the things is that I've always told her, I'm a tennis player. I want to get back on a tennis court. I've been off the court for about 3 years since the last time I played in a competitive team setting, which is what I love to do. And so I haven't been able to play, and so I'm wanting to get back on the court. And she looked at me like I was crazy. She goes, you're not going to play tennis anymore. And I've known that was coming. I just didn't want to hear it. I wasn't ready to hear it, and I just hate being told that I can't do something. So she's like, why do you want to play tennis? And I said to her, because I've always played tennis. Since I was 12 years old, I've played tennis. And so to be told, what, that's just not something you're going to do. I got to be honest, it was hard. I mean, like I said, I knew it was coming. I knew that was coming. And, when you have a chronic illness, it just kind of chips away at so many things that it gets to the point where you're just like, there it goes. There goes something else. But I don't know, I used to wrap a lot of my identity up in being a tennis player, because I spent so much time playing tennis. My mom still plays tennis. And, but I've moved away from that in the recent years. I don't think I see myself as a tennis player anymore in the way that I used to identify with it. Let me tell you, you can drop me on a tennis court in any place on this planet and I'll feel at home. Being on a tennis court for me feels like being at home. I love it. I love everything about it. I love everything about playing. So to close that door, I think I'm still processing that. And I think it might have been the reason why I went on this horrendous yarn buying spree, because but I'll tell you why. On top of everything, she says to me, we're talking about what I do with my hands, and I said, well, I crochet. And she says, do you really need to do that? And I said to her, do you really need to breathe? And she was like, what? And I said, yeah. I said, for my mental health, I need to be able to crochet. And she says, you know, you're picking these things that are just, you know, so hard on your hands and wrists. And I said, I understand, and I know, believe me, if anybody knows, it's me. I know how much I use and abuse my wrists, but I just don't want to be told I can't do it. I'll find a way. I mean, I have videos, if you go on my Facebook page, of women who have no arms and crochet with their mouths, or they have one good arm and they, you know, create these contraptions that allow them to crochet. Because you know what, if there's a will, there's a way. And I feel like I know my years of crocheting are probably going to get shorter as I get older because of arthritis, but there's no way I'm going to stop crocheting because my doctor's like, could you just not do that? Because it's like, you might as well tell me to just like stop breathing, right? So I went. It didn't help that this past weekend was a San Diego yarn crawl, because I went on this crazy yarn buying craziness. I don't know. You know, part of it is I was doing Christmas gift shopping, and then I wanted to pick up a couple skeins to have on hand once I get the contact for the Harvey people that I'll get. Hopefully, I said I would be willing to do up to 5 kits for a crocheter or a knitter from Knit for Texas, as I mentioned last time, so I wanted to pick something up. And so, but yeah, I don't know, it just like set me off. I was like, I'm going to crochet everything. I'm going to crochet, and you're going to have to pry my crochet hook from my cold, dead hand. That's how I felt. So, anyway, lots of news. You guys know there are so many CALs going on. It's just so delicious. I want to make them all. I showed you my yarn from Alayula, which I'm not going to start until probably October, because I believe that CAL runs through October 31st. And then Back to School Sweater CAL has already started, which I'm going to double dip with the CAL that I'm going to talk about right now, which is the Halloween CAL, the HAL CAL 2017, that I'm co-hosting with JoJo Twinkle Toes. And Jo has been amazing. She I love it. She was like, I'm gonna contact Crochet, you know, Inside Crochet Magazine, and see if they'll release the pattern on Ravelry. Because if you remember last time, I was saying how, you know, basically you might have to buy the digital edition of Simply Crochet, I believe it's issue 59, in order to get the pattern. But JoJo took care of it. She was on it. They are going to release the pattern. It's not there yet, but the CAL starts September 29th and will run through October 31st. So I will put up the Ravelry thread up on the 29th. Jo will be a moderator on that thread, and hopefully by then you'll be able to purchase the pattern. The price that they quoted was 3.50 pounds to 3.75 pounds, which roughly translates to $4.75, you know, dollars to $5 for the pattern. So you know, it's pretty typical for a pattern. So I'm so excited about that, and hoping to be very active on that thread. There will be prizes for both the chatter and the finished object thread. So I am hoping you guys will join us. Like I said, Jo's been amazing. Oh, also, she's going to contact Yarn and Colors to see if they will put yarn packs together for the CAL, which is great, because I had this massive order from Knit Picks that came in a little while ago, and because I went through my stash and I was like, you know, I have no DK, I have no sport weight, I was missing a lot of things. And you know, I realized that all I did was order sport weight yarn. I have like almost no DK. I did buy, and I'll show you what I picked up at the crawl that is DK weight yarn. But I'm thinking that I will be using this, and this is Knit Picks Brava Sport. The colorway is Umber Heather. And what I liked about this colorway is that it's brown, but it's not solid. It's got different, like, you know, blacks. I mean, it's a very pretty color. Here's the color if you're interested. There it is. Umber Heather. So I got a bunch of this and it's really soft. It's very nice. I'm hoping that I will have enough. What am I talking about? I'm hoping I'll have enough. What planet am I living on? I think I'll have enough for like 2. So yeah, I will have enough. So hopefully it will work out. I will have to definitely play with the gauge since this is sport weight. But you know, that's the one thing about yarn weights that I think is just like crochet hooks. I just feel like there isn't a standard that goes across the board, because I've had fingering weight yarn that to me feels like sport weight. I've had, I mean, you know, you guys know how it goes. So I'll try it. I think doing the gauge swatch is going to be the most important thing so that I get gauge. And then I'll go from there. And I actually bought that same type of yarn in a different color, which is a little bit lighter. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So that's the CAL 2017 that Miss Jo, who is JoJo Twinkle Toes on Instagram and Ravelry, and myself are hosting, and hopefully you will get to join us. And I'm sure you probably want to see a picture of what I'm talking about, and that is this super awesome skull pattern sweater right here. See that? And then what's really cool is that you can wear the skull in the front or you can wear it in the back. And this pattern is done by Pony McTate. I love that name. Like, how cool is that name, Pony McTate? I'm saying, cool name. So see, and I'll show you right here. You can see that you can also wear it just the front without the skull. So this would be technically the back if you're wearing the skull in the front. But this is the pattern that we're going to be working. It requires DK weight yarn and a 4.5 millimeter hook. So that is our CAL. And if you check out Jo's Instagram account, she's already made one for her daughter that's really, really cute. Oh, and then can I complain about something? You see these adorable cacti? And if you got this issue, you got the little package of yarn to make them. I bought the magazine because here in the States, I believe we're like 2 issues behind you guys in the UK. I don't know how Australia or Canada is, but I think we're 2 issues behind. So I bought these, and Faye from the Crochet Circle podcast made. They were so cute. I was ready to make them. I didn't get the pins. I am minus pins. I know it's a little thing, but it just irritates me when, you know, like what you feel like. I feel like I'm got chipped. I didn't get the full package, so I'll still make them and stick my own pins in the little cacti's head, I guess. So that's, like I said, the CAL that I'm hosting with Jo. The next CAL that I'm hosting is with Hannah of the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast, and it is the Super Simple Tunisian CAL. And the reason, and I've talked about it more in my past episode about why I wanted to learn Tunisian crochet, but I wanted to learn really, like, with really simple stitches. Like, I don't want to get anything crazy, because to me, that's how I learn. I learn small, simple, and then, you know, that's how, I don't know how other people do it, but I can't just jump into a complicated project because then I just feel frustrated. And what's funny is I was watching Clarissa Beth's podcast yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. And she was talking about her Spotting Clouds CAL that she's hosting, and how, you know, jump in and do it, and how when she wanted to learn how to knit, people said don't start with socks. So she was like, well, I'm going to start with socks because I'm going to start with the hardest thing. So I'm the opposite of that. Like, I'm like, I want to understand. I want to start super simple. I don't want to get super complicated. But hey, kudos to you, Clarissa Beth, for doing that, because I think that's very commendable, and your learning curve is probably a lot, you know, better than mine. But I decided I'm going to start off my Tunisian crochet journey with 2 simple dishcloths. Like I said, the CAL is going to be run this way. I will have 2 patterns and 2 videos on my Ravelry thread, and they're going to be the simple stitch, the simple Tunisian stitch, and the knit stitch. Both of them will have video tutorials to help, because they really help me. For me, it was much easier to see it being done than to read the pattern. And so we're going to be using the Tunisian Simple Stitch dishcloth that is put out by Yarnspirations, and I will have a link to the video and a link to the pattern. So it's very simple, and I did one already and I blocked it. Here's my first one, which is, I mean, it's beautiful. I love it, but it's got a lot of mistakes. But yeah, I blocked this because the ends will curl. That is a normal aspect of Tunisian. And the yarn that I used was an Isaac Mizrahi 100% cotton. This is like garment quality. I really shouldn't have used it. I should have used the Lily and Cream, the Lily Sugar and Cream yarn that they suggest, because this is really soft. Like, I was going like this, going, can I turn this into a cowl? Really, really soft, and I love it. And what I did is I put a single crochet border around it, 3 on the corner, just to make it turn. But look how pretty that is. So that is the first one, which is the simple stitch. And then I also did the knit stitch. The knit stitch does not have a pattern, it just has a tutorial. But basically you're running off of the same pattern with the same starting number of stitches, and the tutorial walks you through it. It's very simple. I did one, I'm blocking it right now. Oh, it looks terrible. Still damp though, but it's kind of saggy. But if you can see the stitch, I mean, look at that. Doesn't that look like a knit stitch? I mean, I love it. I loved how it looks. I love how uniform. Definitely so I can see where I made mistakes. Right here, look at that little hole. But yeah, I don't think that's bad for my first try. And it took me, I want to say, a couple hours. I don't know. I've been crazy binge watching Doctor Who. The 2005, it started off again, I guess 2005. I'm on season 4. So I've just been crocheting when I can, and I've been popping Doctor Who on my Amazon Prime Video account, and I love it. So yeah, so I've got 2, and then Hannah will have 2 on her thread. I'll do those 2 because I was able to get 2 dishcloths, and then I had a little bit left. I thought I had the ball here, but I don't. I had a little bit left, and then I have another ball, and I'll do her 2 patterns that she's going to recommend with that. So I should have 4 of these dishcloths with the same kind of yarn. And you know what? If you did it in one color, it would really look pretty. But I liked having the different colors like this because I think it added a lot to it. So that cowl is going to run. Let me just tell you, it's going to run October 1st through October 31st, and I think that's plenty of time to do 4 dishcloths, even if you did one a week. And I think you could sneak it in one of the, you know, in between all the other cowls. I'm using this. This is a 6mm. Here it is. I don't know. I'm not good at holding things up, but it's a 6mm hook that I got with the magazine that I bought. Crochet Now, I believe. I showed it on my last podcast, so it was very handy. I didn't have to buy anything. So that is sorry, I'm really winging this podcast. I usually take very detailed notes, but the week has been crazy, and so I just kind of wrote some things down. So I'm looking at notes going, where did I write that down? Yes. Oh, someone had asked on the Ravelry thread whether we would allow Facecloths and scrubbies into the cowl, and the answer is yes. You can do, because I'm calling it dishcloths because this is a dishcloth pattern, but this is so soft, you guys, that I'm gonna use these for as a face cloth, really, because it's just so buttery soft. So yes, you're welcome to do a face cloth and or a scrubby for this cowl. Hannah said it's okay. I say it's okay, so go for it. So I'm back. I dropped my daughter off at Girl Scouts, and now I am back. I can see that the light has changed, so I do apologize. And also, I was checking the sound on the video, the first little video I recorded, and it looked like the volume was way down. So I do apologize if you are having some sound issues. I'm looking to see if maybe I can invest in a microphone. Hopefully that could take care of some of the sound problems, volume problems. So where did I leave off? Talking about the cowls. There will be prizes for the Tunisian CAL and the Hell CAL. I will move on to one of those prizes because it was a gift that was sent to me, and I will share that with you because it truly is amazing. I was contacted by Tara of Mitchell's Creations, and she said, oh, I want to send you something. And I thought, that is so generous. And I felt very uncomfortable because I'm very uncomfortable receiving gifts, but I was stepping out of my comfort zone, and I said, go ahead, send me whatever you're going to send me. It'll be a surprise, and I'll be happy with whatever you send. And I'm speechless. So Tara dyes yarn, and she makes project bags. And so she sent me 2 skeins of yarn, 2 hanks of yarn that look like this. Look at these beautiful colors. It is, I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. It is soft. I mean, look at that. I mean, that just to me says fall. And so she sent me this other one. And these are all one-of-a-kind dyes. Look at the purple in this one right here. Right there. Isn't that beautiful? So I get to keep one, and I get to gift one. So I've decided to keep this one right here, and I will be gifting this one right here, which is gorgeous. And I'll read, and I'll show you her card. She's got very lovely tags. She has a shop on Etsy. Check it out. And this is on her Ça C'est Bon base. Look at it, I get to practice a little bit of my French. How cool is that? Ça C'est Bon. and it is 4-ply DK weight, 100% superwash merino, 231 yards. I guess she wrote this really lovely note, and she said, you know, I heard that you didn't have any DK weight in your stash, so she sent me DK weight yarn. But look at this gorgeous note that she sent. Isn't that pretty? I love like cards and stationery and pens and things like that. I love that stuff. So I was very happy to receive this beautiful note. But that's not all. No. I mentioned to you that she makes project bags, and I had seen this bag on her Instagram account, and I was drooling over it. So when I got it, I was just blown away. Look at this bag. It's a sugar skull bag, and you guys know how much I love my sugar skulls. But look, it's embroidered. This is machine embroidered, but look at that. And then I happen to have a little skull stitch marker, sugar skull, and I put that one on there. Well, I don't know if it's sugar skull, but it's rhinestone skull. And look at the sturdy handle. It comes with a very sturdy handle. And then look at the inside. Look at the inside. How cool is that? It's beautifully made. I mean, it's just, Tara, thank you so much. I know I said it in the message that I sent to you, but it's not the same as me telling you how much I appreciate the fact that you gifted me this beautiful bag, that you gifted me the beautiful yarn, and that you have been generous enough to send one for me to give away. So one of these is going to be one of the prizes for one of the CALs, and I'm sure I'll put one of my little Crochet Luna, one of my little moon stitch markers to go with it. So thank you, and guys, please go check out her shop, because you know, she actually, I was watching Levi of the WTF Knitting podcast, which side note, somebody very nicely corrected my ass, because I had said, oh, I think he lives in Canada. Like, I'm not one to just do that, but for some reason, I think because I was watching the Grocery Girls, and they were mentioning him, and I thought, oh, he must be Canadian, because I only saw the one episode. But somebody very kindly let me know that he is actually in Ohio. So if you guys see things on my podcast where you're like, what is this crazy woman saying? Please correct me. I don't feel bad about setting me straight. I appreciate it. But she dyed some yarn for Levi because he sold some bags. I think they're all gone now. I think there might be one or two left. So he did kits where he made some beautiful bags, and then he asked some yarn dyers to dye yarn for him. And Tara was one of those people who dyed some exquisite yarn. But if you want to check out her yarn in her Etsy shop, you should do it. She does beautiful colorways. So thank you so much, Tara, for my gorgeous bag. And look at the size of this thing. I could put a lot in there. So like I said, the CALs, both of them will have prizes, and I hope that you will join both Joe and Hannah in participating in one of those CALs. So moving on to this episode, which is called Scald. No, not Skull, Claudia. Called. Which is called... I just can't talk. It's called Scrappiness is Happiness. And the reason I titled it that is because coming off the summer of finishing up 13 projects, I ended up with, and also just, you know, tidying up and things around the little crochet corner over here, I came across a lot of like just little scraps of yarn. And previously I believe like about a year ago, I had the same issue where I just ended up with a bunch of little scraps of yarn, and I decided to make a granny stitch poncho. I actually made like 4 or 5 of them, and I gifted some. You saw one of the ones that I finished on the mannequin last episode, but I loved doing the scrappy yarn project. So I thought I would share some insight as to how I tackle them. And I feel like when we think about scrappy yarn projects, we immediately go to like the granny stitch projects, like the granny stitch blanket or a granny stitch shawl. But I just want to let you guys know that I feel like any pattern can be a scrappy pattern. I don't think you have to necessarily use a granny stitch blanket pattern to, you know, use up your scraps. I think you could use any pattern that you have available to you and just use it, use your scraps, and make a beautiful project. So I'll show you where I keep my little balls of yarn, and it's in this candy jar. So as you can see, I have a ton of little balls, and I mean, I have the tiniest, and then I have this cute little, oops, I have the cutest little top that I have on my little yarn ball. But see, it's full of yarn, it's full of just like little bits and pieces, and I like working with the little scraps. I actually was winding up a ball this past week. If you saw my Instagram feed, I took 3 fingering weight yarns and I rolled them up into one ball to see how much I could get from it and do a hat, which I haven't started yet. But I first got the idea of moving away from the granny stitch shawl when I did a shawl from a magazine, from Interweave. It was an Interweave magazine. It was the fall 2015 Interweave, and it's actually the shawl on the cover. I bought the magazine. I bought this magazine because I love the shawl on this cover. I just fell in love with it, and I thought, I want to make that. And it's done with a variegated yarn. You can see that. And I made one, and I no longer have that because I gifted that shawl. I will put a picture on it so that you can see it, because I do have a picture. And so here's another look at that. It's a triangle. It's a very nice triangle shawl with a pineapple motif. Let's see there. That might work. And then what I liked about it is that if you can see here, they kind of put the strap through the opening of one of the stitches, or the gap that the stitches make. You can put it in and secure it on there so it doesn't fall, and I really like that. And when I made the original shawl, I ran out of yarn so that I couldn't finish the edging on top, and I used another yarn, and that kind of gave me the idea because it looks so good. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do a whole shawl with my scraps that I have. And so if you can see here, this shawl right here, this is a shawl that I did with 3 Irish Girl yarn. It was 1 skein of yarn that I bought, and I did it because this shawl here is called Fortune's Shawlette. I will put the link in the show notes, as I always do. And you can make it as big as you want. Actually, my cousin Evelyn's making one right now that's really big. But this was done with 1 hank of 3 Irish Girl yarn, and I don't remember the colorway because it was done like over a year ago. But I had the tiniest little bit left, and I love this yarn so much that I didn't want to throw it away. So because of the construction of the shawl, and this is the other thing I'll tell you, I think that shawls are constructed triangle, where you start with this small triangle and it gets bigger. It works beautiful when you have just little bits and pieces of yarn. So I'm going to show you. So we're talking about this pattern here. Still this pattern. This pattern is called the Ananas Shawl by Susanna Mackay, and I'm sure I've butchered her name because, you know, that's what I do. And ananas actually is French for pineapple. So, and it's got the pineapple motif, so it makes sense. So I started, I'll show you the whole thing now. So this is the same shawl, and I only use scraps for it. But I'll show you the very tip of it. The very tip of the shawl, this little bit right here, is all I had left from working with this, from working the shawl. This is what I had left. Just enough to start the shawl right there. That's it. And then I moved on to that. I had a little bit of that left. And then I had a little bit of that left. And actually this yarn was so colorful. It has these reds here and the pinks and the yellow. Had all these beautiful colors, but I only had a little bit left. And then I had a little bit of this pink merino right here. I used that. A little bit of the green. Moving into this, like, this is like a lighter green, like almost like a gray green. And then purple. And then what I did is I must have planned this, because I think that I do remember thinking, you know what, I really like all this color down here, right here on this ball of yarn. So I must have saved some, because I was able to repeat some of it up here. If you can see it up here. See that? That's the same one at the bottom. And then we will move on to these vibrant purple, a little bit of this dark purple, this hot pink, more pink, purple, and then this sort of like, I don't know what you would call that. And then I finished with brown and blue. So not only did I use scraps of yarn, some of it, this is acrylic, some of it is cotton, some of it is wool. I also used different weights of yarn, which usually people tell you it's a no-no. But I started with fingering weight right here, and then I moved on into the thicker weights up here. You know, and I really like the stitch definition that I got right here on this section. You kind of lose it a little bit in these colorful variegated sections, but you can see it very well right there. And then I love how the hot pink, I really like the way everything looks, basically. So that's my little, this is my scrappy ananas shawl. Because I just wanted to give you an idea that you don't have to stick with a tradition, like what a traditional people use. You know, like I said, it's always, whenever I see scrap projects, it's like blankets, like granny stitch blankets, or ripple blankets, or, you know, scrap blankets. No, get a beautiful pattern and use up some of that beautiful yarn. I mean, literally, I had just enough to do this border on the blue, and it's very pretty. So that's one of my Scrappiness is Happiness project ideas for you. The next one is taking, sort of planning your project with your scraps, and so that it becomes a cohesive piece. I have a pattern that is my go-to pattern for making slouchy hats. It's a free pattern on the Yarnspiration website, and it's called the Karen Slouchy Beanie. This is a free pattern, And it's made with Karen Simply Soft, but I don't use Simply Soft. I use whatever I have. And I don't make it as slouchy as this. I actually do 27 rows on this pattern. You increase until the 10th row, and then you just kind of keep that that size, and then you come down. So what I did is I took, and this is all Vanna's Choice acrylic yarn. I put this here just to show you where the 10th row is. Right here. So that's row number 10. So I have full balls of the gray color, the main color, but I only have little bits of these colors right here, just like little tiny balls that I have left. And so when I was going to do the hat, I wanted to put together colors that I thought went well, and I thought that these colors went well together. And so I have this nice, I mean, I call this a scrap project because these are all scraps. Yeah, these were balls of yarn. I mean, I have plenty of this yarn, but I was able to use up these little bits. So coordinate your little bits of scraps with a main color, like a neutral main color, and I think that works very well. So that's scrappy project idea number 2, is to plan how you're going to use your colors so that they are harmonious and they work well together. I mean, not always. I mean, you saw the last shawl was like a riot of color, but this particular one I had an idea in mind, and you know, I'm not going to go buy a whole ball of these green, this orange, or this brown. No, I had that, and it just happened to be the same value, basically, or same saturation, and it works well together. And so the next one is one that you've seen before, and it is, I finished it for the Festival of Finishing, and this is a granny stitch cowl done with I think this is like a 10mm hook. It was done with a big hook. It was done with this one right here. What is this one right here? Yeah, this is a 10mm hook. It's not gonna focus, but it's the big hook. And I don't like working with this big hook because it's metal and it's heavy. I rather work with a plastic one like this, because these don't hurt my hand and I don't get tired as easily with the bigger hook. But yes, these were all scraps that I had, and some of these I doubled and tripled to get the chunk. Like, none of these started off as chunky, I believe. Let me see. I think the only one that was chunky is this one right here. None of these other ones are chunky yarns. I just doubled and tripled them together to get the same kind of weight. So that's another idea, you know, and you can, this will definitely is a stash buster. And like I said, I break things, I like to break things up when I have a lot of color with a little pops of neutral right here. So that worked out really well. Love this. So pretty. I can't wear it in the winter time now that I have woven in the ends. So that's another idea for you. And lastly, I will visit the granny stitch triangle shawl that's popular for a lot of people who want to do scrap projects, because it is such a simple shawl, you guys. If you've never done a triangle granny stitch shawl, you should definitely try it. And there's paid for patterns and then there's free patterns, but I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that as long as it's like a 3+1, like you create your, when you do a foundation chain, if you're going to do like a square, not a triangle, but this is just a square like a blanket, as long as you do repeat, the repeats are 3. If you start out with multiples, that's what I meant to say, sorry. If you do multiples of 3+1, and then you're able to go back and forth with a granny stitch as in a blanket or a rectangular or, yeah, rectangular wrap. So I do apologize if I just completely confused you. I will put a link for that. YouTube has tons of videos on how to do a granny stitch in the line, and also triangle shawls and granny stitch hats, which I have a pattern and I couldn't find it, but there was a free pattern that I came across. I will put the link if I find it. But I have this is one of my granny stitch triangle shawls that I did as a scrappy project a couple years ago. It's got different colors, but all still I think these all work together well. You can, you start up here and then you can see, I think I only had, like, if you look here, I only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 stitches that I got out of that one particular yarn color. And this has got, again, a mixture of cotton, acrylic, and wool. And I've gifted a couple, like I said, I've gifted 2 or 3 of these to people, and I tell them, even though it's got some acrylic in there that you could throw in the wash, I wouldn't do it, because I don't even know the content of some of these fibers. There could be some alpaca in here, I don't know. So to be safe, just hand wash your shawl. So yeah, this is a nice big shawl. Keeps me warm in the winter. I have this ginormous shawl that I'll show you guys one day that I did, that is like one of my favorite shawls. It's made with 100% wool, and it's got a little bit of a bite, and I like that on a cold winter night. But this particular shawl is from a paint pattern that comes from a book, and it has a really nice picot edging on here. I didn't put the picot edging on all of my shawls that I did like this. This particular one does have it, and it is from the book Modern Shawls and Wraps, Modern Crochet Shawls and Wraps. This book is fantastic. I love this book. Like I said, I've made about 5 of those shawls, and the pattern that I used for it is called the Roasted Chestnut. And obviously that shawl is done with like a fingering weight. You can see that it has a lot more drape than what I have in mine, but you can see the picot edging right there. I've also have made the one that's on the cover, and that's the one that I tell you that I really like, which is, it's this one, and it's definitely a stash buster because it's a huge shawl. It's this one right here. So I've made that. I'll pop a picture. I do have pictures. I will put a picture of my shawl that I made like this, and I love it. It's one of my favorite shawls. So this is a book that obviously I bought, but I have found a very nice free pattern. It's called Half a Granny Square Shawl Brooklyn Tweed Loft version by Brooklyn Tweed, I guess. No, Church Mouse Yarns. It's this one right here. It uses the Brooklyn Tweed yarn. That's what that's for. This is a free pattern. And I will put a link to this pattern on my notes in case you want to make it. I also found on a blog that I cannot pronounce because I believe it is Dutch, but this is in English. The pattern is in English, with a photo tutorial and a diagram that I thought was fantastic. And it's a free crochet pattern called Vintage Sweet Shawl. Another triangle shawl using the granny stitch. And look at, this is her blog. Like, I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Look at that. No, no, no. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. But her name is Kirsten. No, Kirsten. Her name is Kirsten. And this is a great blog post if you wanted to do a granny stitch shawl. So that is what I have for you on that. And then we'll move on to talking about, oh, and also my next door neighbors had another estate sale. They're trying to sell their house, and they brought out the rest of the stuff from the house, and I noticed a couple crochet blankets and a sewing machine. And so I was talking to the ladies, and I said, so who was the crocheter? And she said it was her great grandmother and her grandmother had crocheted. And so I said, do you have any books or magazines? Because they had, like, you should have seen it. They just had so much stuff that it was overwhelming. Like, boxes and boxes of old Avon perfume bottles, which I don't know if you're, for those of you not familiar with Avon, it is a catalog company, so you can buy your makeup and accessories and clothing through catalog, and you can only buy it through a rep. So you have to find a rep. They give you the catalog, you find what you want, and then you order it through the rep, and then the rep brings it to you. Well, for a long time, Avon would put out these really intricate bottles for their perfume, and I guess somebody collects them, and so they had billions of these. Like, they look like clocks or they look like telephones, and it was a lot of fun to look at. But man, I would not want to be wanting to clean that out. So I asked her, well, it was two sisters. I asked them if they had any crochet magazines, and look. And I paid $1, maybe, I don't know. I paid like $1 for these. These are all crochet magazines, going back as far as 1973. And I know, some of the stuff in here doesn't apply, but this Magic Crochet magazine, I've seen this before. I actually have a bunch of these. They have some fantastic things, and one of my favorite things about this magazine is a lot of times they have history of crochet. They have stories and articles on crochet, and it's fascinating. It's really great. I'm not going to show you too much in here because, like I said, I'm trying to keep the podcast. Well, you guys tell me. I mean, my husband personally, for me, the longer the podcast, the better. When I see Grocery Girls podcast 2 hours, I'm like, yes. My husband thinks I am out of my mind that my podcast goes over 20 minutes. He thinks it should be like 15-20 minutes. What could I possibly have to talk about for an hour and a half? And I know there's other people who have mentioned that they don't like the longer podcasts. But I just have so much to say. I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, you guys tell me. Do you want me to go shorter? Do you care? I mean, the one thing I'll tell you is my least favorite thing to do is show notes, and they do take a while. But I appreciate when I watch a podcast and there's show notes and links. I really appreciate that. And I know how much time it takes to do that. And someone also commented on my video very sweetly that they have to get their pen and paper out when they watch my podcast, because they know I give a lot of information. And I just wanted to say, put it away. Always know that I may not have those links up when you see the podcast, but if you come back to it, all of my podcasts have notes. So enjoy it, enjoy the episode, and if something sparks your mind, know that the link is there for you. And also went to a Susan G. Komen, it was like a 10 family garage sale. They're raising money to do this crazy 60-mile walk. I was talking to the lady, and it's a 3-day event where they walk 20 miles a day for Susan G. Komen, which is the breast cancer organization. And let me tell you, I was like, wow, I was so impressed. But I found 3 crochet books for 10 cents each. I found this one right here. They mostly have blankets and stuff. And then this one right here. Like I said, a lot of blankets. And this one I already have. I do. I have this one. So I don't know if you guys, I don't know. Would anybody want this book? Do you think it's tacky that I'm offering my garage sale find on the podcast? I just, you know, I wasn't going to leave it, but I know I have this already. It's got all kinds of Afghans. I mean, if you guys think that's just cruddy and just like cheesy and like, really, Claudia, giving us your garage sale finds, really? But if somebody wants it, first person who says they want it, it's yours. You can have it. I will put it in the mail. And yeah, it's yours. You can have, it's got some really lovely patterns in here. It's absolutely in pristine condition. There's nothing wrong with it. There are no notes. Nobody's written on it. So let me know. If not, I'll just keep it. I have friends who crochet as well. I can give it to Evelyn, my cousin Evelyn. If you guys think I'm just crazy by offering my garage sale finds. But yes, okay. Then it was time for the annual San Diego yarn crawl. 13 shops, and well, it was 10 shops, 3 alpaca farms, I believe. It was amazing, you guys. It was like what this girl needed. I needed my yarn therapy this weekend. So bummed out with the news of my hands and stuff, and I needed to do some yarn therapy. So I got to go, and I was on the Yarn Over truck, which they usually make their stops at different yarn shops. I made it to one of the alpaca farms. If you follow me on Instagram, I put pictures of the alpaca farm. Oh my gosh, those alpaca are so sweet. And interesting enough, because you know me, I'm like a busybody. Like, I want to know everything. So I talked to Joe, who is the husband of, I believe, Suzanne, the owner. And also, I don't know if that was her mom there. I didn't quite get it, but it was another lady that was there, an older lady. And she and I got to talking. Well, she has had arthritis all her life. She's had her jaw rebuilt, fused thumbs, her spinal cord. I mean, you name it, she's had it done. But she's out there, like, you know, being active and amazing, basically. Well, her daughter, well, Susan also was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and so we were talking back and forth, and lovely people. And it's got to be hard work to have this alpaca ranch. They breed alpaca, and they also send the alpaca wool out. Is it alpaca wool? Do you say alpaca? What do you call it? Alpaca yarn. Well, it's not yarn if it's on the alpaca, obviously, Claudia. Anyway, they send it out to get processed, and she dyes some of it, but for the most part it is undyed. And when I have bought alpaca before, I have bought it undyed because I just love the look of it. And they have different colors of alpaca there, and so I made my own gradient set of alpaca. This is all natural, 100% undyed. I'll get it, guys. I'll get it. I'll figure it out. Undyed alpaca. Isn't that pretty? I had it set up as a gradient set. Hold on. And maybe I can do it like that. There you go. With the dark one on the side. Anyway, it's very soft. This alpaca is actually mixed with, it's 50% alpaca, 25% merino, 25 bamboo silk. It is incredibly soft. So soft. It smells really good. So I was really happy to pick that up at the alpaca farm that we visited. And we also got to feed the alpaca and got to play with a couple doggies. And then my kids found these alpaca stuffed animals. They are little hamsters made out of alpaca, which I told them that is the only way a hamster is coming into my house is in stuffed animal form, because no, I'm not doing it. So they were saying to me how much they want to show you guys their little alpaca furries, but they're not here right now. So yeah, we had a lovely day on Sunday at the alpaca farm. But on Friday, is it Friday? I actually went every single day. I went on Thursday night. I did a little bit on Friday morning with my cousin Evelyn. We did hit a couple places. Then Saturday after my son's football game, I went to one other shop, and then Sunday, yeah. So I actually hit all 4 days of the San Diego Yarn Crawl. It was beautiful. It was great. Had a great time. If you've never done a crawl, I would highly recommend it. You don't have to buy anything. You know, you go there and you get free patterns. And they'll always have a free crochet pattern, well, if you're a good shop, you will have a free crochet pattern, not just a knitting pattern. I actually had, every shop that I went to had a crochet pattern and had a knitting pattern that they were giving away. So then, but previous to this past weekend, I actually went to it was advertised as an indie Dyer festival. For some reason, my head, because I'm really liking learning about dyeing yarn and things like that, I thought it was like a trade show for indie Dyer, so I thought I would go. No, Claudia. No. It was a yarn show with 12 indie dyers. And it was pretty fantastic. So I bought yarn the weekend before, and I bought yarn this past weekend. And I don't regret it, because it's adding to my collection. And like I said, some of this will be gifted to, I just dropped some, hold on. Some of this yarn will be gifted to that Knit for Texas project that I was telling you about. So first up, I bought a sock blank from a company called Long Dog Yarns. And she's got the cutest little, look at her logo, it's a little doggy. Isn't that cute? I don't remember her name. I spoke to her briefly, but I saw this sock blanket and I thought, wow, these would make amazing crochet socks. So I bought that. And along with this one, I bought this one. Isn't that pretty? I'm feeling very pinky these days. So that was Long Dog Yarns. I have a lot of yarn stuff, but I'm not going to show you all of it because you don't need to see all of it right now, right? I'll just show you a good amount, because I was also thinking that I'm not going to call, I don't want to say acquisitions anymore. I'm not going to call it that. No. I'm going to welcome you to take a tour of Yarnopolis. Yes. Welcome to Yarnopolis, where we enjoy all things yarny. So on this episode of Yarnopolis, we are going to enjoy the yarns of the San Diego Yarn Crawl. I have a lot, and like I said, I'm not going to show you everything, because some of this stuff I think will be better when I attach a project to it. I will show you some of the highlights that I thought were amazing. And these are yarns that of dyers that I've heard of, but I've never purchased from. And what's great about going to these crawls is that you can meet the dyers. I met a bag maker that I'll tell you about who's amazing. I met 3 dyers, and I talked to them. Like, I want to know how they got into their dyeing, how, you know, what's their inspiration, what's their motivation. Like, I met this lady who's only been dyeing since March, and then she was like planning her wedding, and she's like, and then I didn't dye anything until like June. But her company name is Wanderlust Hues, and what I liked about this colorway is that this reminded me of Christmas. It's Wanderlust Hues. Very pretty. And I have her card somewhere, and I don't know where I did with it. But yeah, I thought this was... Here I am. So I thought this was really pretty and very subtle, not anything crazy, you know, for Christmas. I thought this was really pretty. So she's only been dyeing since March, and it was her first fiber festival that she was attending. So really like that. And then I went to this yarn shop in Chula Vista. I'll put the name below. And they are one of my favorite. Like, I usually go there first when I go on the crawl, because they are one of my favorite shops. Not only because they stock a lot of high quality acrylic yarn, they stock a lot of inexpensive yarn. I bought some, it's behind my mannequin. Do you see this stuff right here? This stuff is Omega Yarn. It's a company from Mexico, and that's DK weight yarn that is acrylic. It's fairly inexpensive. They have huge color range for that yarn that I was more than happy to purchase, because that's what I'll be making some garments from. For one of them is for my mom, and they're friendly, and they are incredibly knowledgeable about crochet. They are the one shop that you can go to that has tons of crochet samples available for you to see. Tons. Just so I really like them. And then they put on a really nice spread, and they do a raffle every hour. And I was telling the owner, I said, you know, I'm horrible at raffles. I will be the person that buys like 20 tickets at a raffle, and then I'll sit next to the person. Have I told this story before? Because I feel like I've said this before. I'll be sitting next to the person that purchases the one raffle ticket, and then they win. I've been playing, I've mentioned this before, I've played poker, so I've been at a casino playing cards. I'll be playing poker, and and a huge jackpot will hit, and I'm sitting next to that table. Going so far as one time, I was playing poker at the same table as my husband, which we never do, because I never like doing that. And this lady sat, and her husband was sitting behind her, and he was just so annoying that I left. And I'm not even joking, not like 10 minutes later, they hit a jackpot there. Like, I have luck in many ways, but that kind of stuff, I don't have luck. So I was at the yarn shop, and they did a raffle, and the person who won the first one was behind me. And then the second time they did a raffle, I was there, and I was one number up from the person who won. So it was really funny. I don't have the raffle mojo. But anyway, I found this. I found this baby there. Isn't it amazing? Look at that. Look at the size of this yarn. Look at this thing. It's 700 yards of, it's an acrylic yarn. I believe this is like an acrylic, 20% wool, 77% acrylic, 3% viscose. And the company name is James C. Brett is the company name. Sorry guys, I have my fan going. And I liked it because it's tweedy. It's got, you know, all this like little flecks in it, and I have a like a little bolero jacket that I want to work on, and this is going to be perfect for it. So yes, huge yarn skein right here. Then we went off to another. I mean, I can't even tell you where I picked what up because I don't remember. But this I did pick up from the Yarn Over truck because the pattern they had on display was so gorgeous. It's from Forbidden Woolery, and this is called Stuck in Traffic, which I used to drive the 405 freeway every day. I used to drive the 10 freeway every day, the 210 freeway. Those are all freeways here in California that are like traffic toilets. I mean, it's just, you're just sitting in traffic. It would take me 2 to 3 hours to get home. And this is like an everyday thing. You jump on the freeway and you basically like have a routine. Like my routine was I would go to either a Starbucks or something, and I would load up. I would get my coffee, my snack. Then me personally, I would always have like a book on tape that I would just pop into my CD player, and then I would take my shoes off. I mean, I had to prepare to get on the freeway so that I wouldn't lose my mind, and I did that for many, many years. But so I saw this, Stuck in Traffic, and I thought, yeah, sometimes you really want to kill people when you're stuck in traffic. But isn't that beautiful? This I did pick up at the Yarn Over truck, and there was a pattern that came with it. On my next episode of this podcast for Pattern Palooza, I will share all the patterns that I picked up during this year's crawl, because I did pick up a lot. But this is beautiful yarn. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. So then I'm a big fan of Laser Sheep yarn, and she was at Yarning for You, which I have mentioned before, but I don't know if I picked this up there. I don't remember where I picked this up, because I know they have yarn, Laser Sheep yarn there, but I picked this up. This is going to be a gift. Look at that beautiful purple color. And then what she's done is she's done these cute little buttons, and every colorway has a different button. So there's that one, and then there's this one's called Bat Ram. This is on her laser sock base, fine merino wool, 75/25, 463 yards. So this together will be a shawl for a gift. I thought that was really pretty. This next one is Inner Yarn Zen, and this is for my mom. She's requested this color for a beautiful shawl. I think it's beautiful. So this is going to be my mom's Christmas present, since I never made her birthday socks. That was then going to be her Mother's Day socks. So I'm going to make her the shawl. I think this is beautiful yarn, so I will be making her that. So I'll leave it at that and move on to, I picked up 2 bags from a lady named Kim, who was selling her bags at Yarning for You in San Marcos. And she, oh my God, she had a table. Picture this, a table stacked up with these gorgeous project bags. Gorgeous. I mean, they were absolutely beautiful. And I picked 2 up. I picked this one up because, yeah, sugar squalls, you know. I picked this one up. And her company name is Casey's Pockets to Go. And I asked her, I said, you know, what I liked about Kim, and I really enjoyed about Kim, and what made buying her bag special to me, is that she actually engaged me in a conversation that was genuine. It wasn't just like, hey, how are you, blah, blah, blah. No. She was a very what do you say? I mean, she just came across like a genuine person who really wanted to hear what I had to say. And I asked her how she got into bag making, and she said that when she was stationed in Africa, she would pick out the beautiful African fabric, the prints, and take them to a tailor and have bags made, and then people wanted them, and so then she started making her own bags. But this is the inside of the bag. It's got my whip that I'll show you in a little bit. So, and they're absolutely beautifully made. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous print. And then I got this one, which is a drawstring bag with these adorable sheep. And this fabric is like a canvasy fabric, and this feels like a cotton up here. So this is drawstring, and you know what? I like the fact that it's only on one side, and she uses this little, I forgot what she called these. I don't know. You know, these things. I don't know what you call those. What do you call those? I don't know. Anyway, she also pointed out something that I didn't even think about. She says that she puts her zippers this way on this side, opposite the handle like this, so that you can zip up your project, put it on your wrist, and then knit or crochet from it. And I thought, I never thought about that. So yeah, so this is a little detail that she pointed out to me. And like I said, she was very, very nice, and I really appreciated having a conversation with her. And I have another bag on order, because if you check out her Instagram, and I'll put the information, there's a print. She's got another sheet print that I'm like, oh, where's a bag with this print? And it had sold out, but she's going to make me one, and she'll let me know when it's done. Okay, what else do I have to talk about? Oh. I found this yarn, you guys. It's called Ink and Spice. It is, let me tell you, I have been wanting to find something with yak for a while, but it's been like everything that I've seen that has yak in it has been so expensive. And this was affordable. This was not too bad. And it is 45% extra fine merino, 25% baby alpaca, 15% mulberry silk, and 15% yak. It's called Ink and Spice. It's made in Peru, and I bought 3 balls, and I'll show you the combination. I bought these 3 balls because I thought that would make a really beautiful project, and I have exactly what I'm going to make with it. And that is a pattern that the store owner brought to my attention, because there was a knitted pattern that was being given away. If you purchase this yarn, you got a free knitted pattern. But I said to her, I don't knit. So she brought out, and you know I have to make this, the Claudia scarf. Yes. How can I not make the Claudia scarf? I have to make it, right? And what she did that was so fantastic is she joined it and she made this into a cowl. And this is a free pattern that I will pop in the show notes, that I thought was, yeah, I mean, I saw her sample of it, and that's what I like. I always like to see the samples of the finished patterns, because I think, yes, I can make that, or yes, I like the way that looks. And so she was very, very, very helpful in that situation. Okay, let's see. Oh, I want to tell you who won Quaylen's Dust and Ashes scarf that he so generously gave to the podcast. The winner is Green Hook. So Green Hook, you are the winner, and Quaylen will send you that pattern. Thank you so much for everyone who participated on that thread. It was wonderful to see him get some positive feedback on that scarf. Like I said, Quaylen, I want you to design more. I want you to really put yourself out there. You're young, you can do it. You know, go ahead, design us some fabulous menswear, for crying out loud. It needs to be done, you know. But anyway, if you haven't checked out the Cool podcast, check it out. Give him some love. He's 19. I was like, I think you're 23. He's 19 and doing all this fantastic crochet. At 19, what was I doing? I don't even want to tell you what I was doing when I was 19. Because I was up to no good. But yeah, give him some love. Check it out. The pattern is absolutely beautiful. And that's it for the giveaway. I want to share with you some of the podcasts that are new that I've been watching. And some of you've already heard of these people before. And I just think that the more that we point you to some of these podcasts, the better. I think I want to build community. You know, I don't want to have a podcast that's just about me sitting here showing you my hoard of yarn and my patterns that I'm working on, which is fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love that, but I want to build community, and I want to be able to tell people, you know, go check out this Etsy shop, go check out this pattern written by this person, go look at this podcast, because I just get so much out of it. I get so much out of the crochet community that I just want to spread the love, and I just want everybody to go give everybody love. You know, I want you to go check out the Cool podcast and, you know, Gerard's podcast. And then, so I have Earl Grey Crochet, which is Elizabeth, and she's in Australia, and she's done some beautiful crochet. Go check her out. She's got a couple episodes up. She went to VidCon in Australia, which is the big get together for podcasters or blogsters or whatever you want to call it, which, by the way, I'm totally with Rosina of the Zines and Roger podcast. I feel like I don't want to call my podcast a podcast, because I'm not really a podcast. I'm not on iTunes. I don't do an audio podcast. So I will, after this, from this episode on, you will know me as a blogcast. Yes, a blogcast. So there's also Ella from No Catchy Name Crochet. Oh my God, I love your podcast, Ella. She has inspired me to find the information to enter my local fair, and I want to do that. I want to do that next year, because she entered her local fair. She got like 8 first place ribbons. She made this Santa scarf that was amazing. She made this Grinch wreath that was amazing. Check it out. Oh my gosh, so inspiring. I love it. I want to get out there, because I enjoy the fair, and one of the things that I enjoy about going to our local fair, which is in Del Mar, is I like seeing the crafts. Like, my husband doesn't want to have anything to do with that. He just wants to eat the food. And my kids just want to ride the rides, and all I want to do is look at the crafts. So I want to be part of that. So next year I'm going to do that. And Ella has inspired me to do that, so I'm going to do it. Then there's Sarah from the Little Fuzzy Sarah podcast. Check her out. She's super adorable. She's got this beautiful white kitty. I wish I could keep cats, but my husband's like deathly allergic to cats, so I can't do that. And of course, Charlie from the Love Charlie podcast, Love Charlie Crochet podcast. She's got several videos out there, and she reached out to me recently on Ravelry. I have a response for your message that you sent me, because your last episode really touched on a lot. I can't even begin. I can't even begin to respond to your last episode in the comment section, because it would be like page after page after page. So those are the podcasts that I have added to my wonderfully ever-growing list of podcasts that I see. They're all oh, you know, there's someone who I don't know that I've mentioned, which is Tiffany from the Conscious Crafter. She has videos up, and she definitely has a different take on crafting, which I think is fascinating. She's vegan. She's a militant vegan, as she describes herself, and I really respect the strength of her convictions. I think it's important to have that, and she definitely has that. So I love watching Tiffany. Like I said, I love the whole range. Give me the whole range. I want to know everything about you guys. I want to know everything about my fellow podcasting sisters and now brothers. So that, you know what? No, that's the end. I'll leave that for another day. I just, out of the corner of my eye, said something that I was going to share with you guys, but this is running really, really long. So I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me. I can't thank you enough for leaving me the comments that you do. I try to respond to everyone's comments. Eventually I do. It might take me a little bit, but know that I read everything, and that it fills my heart with a lot of happiness to know that you find something in my podcast that makes you happy. So thank you so much. I am Crochet Luna on Instagram, Facebook, Ravelry, and my blog is Crochet Luna. Feel free to reach out to me. I love hearing from you guys. And oh, your jars. And now it's like the middle of the week, because by the time you see this podcast, it'll be Wednesday. But it doesn't matter. I mean, I think we can all use some positive, little positive affirmation. So let me read you your Meredith's Jar of Joy. That was a gift from Jillian of the Cuckoo for Cows podcast. And Jillian, I hope that you are transitioning well, and she's now like in graduate school, and she's like, I believe, the resident dorm person. I don't know. She's got a lot of responsibilities, a lot of stuff going on her plate. But that girl can dress to the nines. Look at her Instagram. Check out how she goes to class, because like that was nothing like how I went to class. Like, I went to class in like some ratty ass jeans, my clogs, I look like trash, because basically I was painting. And so, but Jillian from the Cuckoo for Cows podcast, looking really hot, my friend, really hot. Okay, are you ready for your affirmation of the week? It is only when we have the courage to face things exactly as they are, without self-deception or illusion, that a light will develop out of events by which the path to success may be recognized. The I Ching. Wow, this jar like really knows what I need to hear. Wow, that's amazing. So there you go. Crochet on. I love you guys. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.